What up, hoes and hoettes? I guess that doesn't really make sense. But anyway, I want to talk a little bit today about smokers, nicotine, cigarette addicts, chain smokers, whatever the like. Being on a college campus, I see them all the time. And I myself am not a smoker, not my thing. And if people want to smoke, I think it's totally fine. If they want to, go for it. I mean, I have no right to tell them not to. But I think it's interesting, and you notice this phenomenon all the time, and surely I know I'm not the first one to notice this, but cigarette smokers are the only contingent in modern society where it's socially acceptable to publicly show your disdain for their habit. Like, if you are walking by a cigarette smoker and you get a whiff of their smoke and you kind of give them a look of just frustration and looking down on them and disdain, like, oh, you idiot, you're smoking, don't you know that's bad for you? Well, listen to me talking about smoking right here, and I've got a terribly sore throat. Someone mentioned it in the video, actually, like a prophet. They said, you have a sore throat, and I was like, oh no, I just need to get some water. And lo and behold, a couple hours after that comment was posted, my throat did get very sore. So you are a wizard, that's confirmed. I'll get your username later and report it to the proper authorities so you can be taken to whatever jail fits you, whatever cell can hold your powers. But anyway, so this whole smoking thing is really interesting to me, because even if a really, really fat, just grotesquely overweight person walked by you as they held on to their sack lunch of 3 Big Macs, a Whopper, and a Baconator, which, I mean, I guess that would be a lot of stops to get that lunch, but if you're fat at that rate, you got to be pretty devoted. You can't be slacking off. Like, when you're to that point of fat, you have to make conscious decisions to get fatter. You can't just slack off. If you're going to stay fat, you got to maintain that fat, sir. And if you see someone walking by you who's just morbidly obese and eating a bunch of food like that, to say something about it and to say, hey, you probably should not be eating that high-fat, terrible cholesterol, artery-clogging, high-sodium food, they would look at you like you're a complete social pariah, and you're a complete retard, and you're completely out of line, and you've stepped over a bound, an invisible social barrier somewhere wherein you're not allowed to tell someone that what they're eating is unhealthy. You're only allowed to dictate to them other substances that are unhealthy, which is just the epitome of hypocrisy to me, because it's like we pretend that we care so much about public health, and we put on this air like, oh yeah, we have to keep the smokers away. We can't have those little fumes polluting our precious air. I mean, God forbid even a little bit of contamination get into our lungs. And then meanwhile, right after espousing those statements, they run into a McDonald's, pick up 2 McDoubles, and then scarf those down with a Diet Coke. It's ridiculous. It's just, more people die every year from fatty foods, and I can't help but wonder why that is. Why is it that overweight people are kind of, I guess, a refuge of sorts for not getting made fun of? And I understand the feeling. I really empathize with people who are overweight, because I've spent a great deal of my life overweight. I'm not going to lie and pretend like I can fully empathize, because I've never been fat, like really fat. I've been overweight before, but it just seems like, you know, if I started smoking 2 packs a day, it would be understandable if a friend of mine were to say, hey, Taylor, we think you're smoking a lot of cigarettes, and this is probably not going to be a good habit to develop. Whereas if I start eating 2 McDoubles a day, they're like, oh, he's just a growing boy, just another guy, just eating however he feels, just filling his stomach by whatever means necessary. And I think that's kind of bullshit, because this, if anything, food is so much more damaging. I mean, when you talk about addiction and you talk about problems that people have in their lives, think about how basic and how just fundamental food is, and think about how addicted you are to food. I know for me, I've got a fat guy's mentality. I love eating. I love eating anything for the most part. I just love chewing food and tasting food and enjoying it, and it's an evolutionary trait, and we're supposed to enjoy food. And so if anything, it seems as though we should be more focused on keeping people from completely falling victim to this evolutionary trait wherein we're trained to eat as much food as possible, because of course our bodily functions don't understand, hey, food is available at all times, we can get food whenever, this is modern times. Our body doesn't understand that, and so when we force feed it all this shit, we just end up becoming fat blobs, and that's really unfortunate. And so really all this is just to say that, to me, it almost seems like we, if we were intellectually honest, would spend more time critiquing people who are eating unhealthily, as opposed to critiquing that relatively small group of people who choose to smoke copiously all the time. And I mean, even that is really weird, because I mean, if you see someone who's incredibly heavy, you know for a fact that they have been eating a lot of food and they have been abusing their body. But, I mean, you can't tell with a smoker, generally. You can't look at someone who's smoking and immediately ascertain whether or not that person is a chain smoker or a 1 cigarette a day smoker or a 2 cigarette a week smoker or something like that. You don't know that. And so for you to come off acting all pretentious and presuming to know how often they smoke seems ridiculous. Because, I mean, that would be akin to me walking up to someone who seems like they're in fairly good physical shape at a McDonald's and being like, "You fat asshole, eating this disgusting, terrible, vile garbage and feeding it into your mouth hole." Like, that'd be ridiculous, because you'd realize, oh, clearly this person isn't habitually eating McDonald's to excess. They're just eating it every once in a while. So really, to me, it just seems like political correctness has gotten to such a point that we're all desperately trying to rag on someone because it's been repeatedly ingrained in our mind that we can't really pick on any particular group of people because that's politically incorrect and totally unacceptable. And so smokers are kind of the last refuge where we can just mercilessly make fun of and pick fun and just be kind of dickbags to these people. So that's my opinion on that issue. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a rating and let me know how you feel about it. And yes, I will talk to you on the morrow. Love you.